Okay, Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, former player and assistant coach Damon Jones, all three facing federal charges. Two overlapping investigations here. One, illegal sports betting. The other one, apparently rigged high-stakes poker games allegedly linked to organized crime. The scandals have shaken the NBA. This is made by Challenge and Alberto Sardiñas. I want to bring back today Stevo Budin. He's the father of online sports betting. He's been on the show before. Stevo, what was your first reaction when you heard about all this mess?
Oh, that there's more than this than meets the eye. Obviously, it's a sensational headline. A lot of people don't realize this has been an ongoing investigation for 4 years. Back in 2023, I have some poker people. And by the way, I hate poker players. I hate all poker players. They're all liars. They all try to manipulate relationships. They'll get into a game, pretend they're not as good as they are. When I hear that poker players got cheated, I don't shed a tear for them, because in essence, their whole careers are spent cheating their friends and people that they pretend to like, who they'll sit in a poker game, pretend to be worse than they are, and try to steal everybody's money. So there's no honor amongst thieves, and there's no honor amongst poker players. But I don't want to get off on a side rant. I heard in 2023, Chauncey Billups was having a game in Las Vegas. Some of my players attended, and they came back to me afterwards and said, "Stevo, that game is rigged. It's they're robbing everybody in that game." So it's been going on for a while.
So you had already gotten some feedback about what got him in trouble before this whole thing was heard about?
So usually there's a couple of no-nos when it comes to gambling, and it's number one is organized crime, right? For many reasons, and we'll get into that. And number two is professional athletes tainting the sanctity of professional sports, right? Whenever you are involved in any one of those things, you're in a very difficult, you're in a very tenuous, you're in a very dangerous position as an operator. The reason why we don't get involved with anything that has to do with the mob or organized crime is not for the moral reasons that everybody would think when they first hear that. It's because genuinely and generally, when there's heat that comes from organized crime, it's because the feds are sitting on those phones, right? And they're listening, waiting for the next murder or waiting for the next whatever they're looking for. If they're not looking for sports gambling, that's the least of it. But now while they're on the phone listening anyway, mob guys love to talk. They love to brag. So they get their buddies on the phone and they're like, "Hey, we got this poker game going on with Chauncey fucking Billups, and they say that, hey, we got this, we got these players and all this stuff." And now the feds who are listening already, they don't start a task force and say, "Let's look at sports gambling." They're looking for much bigger things, extortion, murder, that type of stuff. And now they hear it and now they go, "Oh my God, there's NBA guys involved in this. This is a scandal." And now that whets their appetite, and they go ahead and they're already on the call, and they find out about information. So you never want to be tied in with anything where heat is going to come to you based on something that doesn't even involve you, and now you're involved in something. So that was the first thing that came to my mind.
So are you saying that not on the poker side, which is a separate investigation, but on the sports betting side, you're saying that there could also be mafia elements into that this is not just, a more benign group just saying, "Hey, we got in touch with a player and the player can help us out in this and the other way"?
Yeah, I'm definitely saying that from the reports I'm hearing, there's mob and organized crime related stuff all over both sides of these investigations. Now, on the sports betting side, well, we can go to the poker side for a second. Chauncey Billups, to me, is probably, if I had to guess, because I don't know Chauncey personally, I know the type. And for me, for some reason, these NBA guys, they're enamored with mob guys. They're enamored with the culture and the lifestyle, the rap music that portrays mob guys and these type of villains as something desirable, somebody that you want to befriend and be around for whatever power purposes you're looking for, ego, that type of stuff.
But we can agree that that's only a portion of these people. Like I wouldn't generalize and say you're in the NBA and just, it's just going to be attractive to you. I guess for some people, it could be something attractive, and then some of them may get in trouble, right?
That's correct. So I think that Chauncey Billups probably plays poker. That we can probably deduce. And he runs in those illegal poker, poker, unless you're playing in a Vegas casino or in a sanctioned casino, if you're playing in a high stakes poker match at somebody's house, which is how that game originated and where most of the high stakes, really high stakes poker goes on. He's running in and around those circles, potentially, allegedly. I don't really know for sure. And I think in those circles, your likelihood of running across some guy who's involved in organized crime, whether as a direct member of organized crime or as an affiliate of some sort, or someone who knows somebody who knows somebody. And they probably approached Chauncey, who was enamored by it. And they said, hey, Chauncey, we're going to run this game. We can pay you X amount to kind of, be the celebrity endorser of this game. And you can bring in a lot of high stakes people. It's poker. It's off the radar. Nobody's looking at a poker match in someone's house. And we can take down a lot of money. And I would believe that Chauncey did it as much for the relationship as he did, it's been my experience, for the money, because he's made all the money you could possibly make. What would he need to do it for the money? It doesn't make sense. The other thing that we saw happen in the referee case from decades ago with Donahue is that he got into trouble gambling. And when he got into trouble gambling, you see, the mob to me are not serial entrepreneurs, right? They're opportunists. So they wait for an opportunity and then they strike while the opportunity is hot. And when they have an opportunity, like with the referee, where the referee owes them money, rather than take the money, they're very tough threats and get involved and do these favors for us.
Now, let me ask you, because on the podcast, and we're going to link to the episode in which you share your story and you told us how you went from, doing a lot of underground stuff into being a huge businessman and how the government got involved, etc. But I remember, we're going to link to the Made by Challenge podcast here. But you said something very similar to what you stated. You said temptation comes dressed in opportunity. So what do you mean by that?
When organized crime, and again, this is something that I assume, something crosses their table and they have an opportunity to, via threats and via extortionary type of tactics, involve somebody in doing things that ordinarily they wouldn't do. Now, we know in hockey, it's been widely reported over the years that the Russian mob will go ahead and they will extort Russian hockey players and threaten their families in Russia if they don't just straight up give them money out of their salaries, a certain percentage. We know that's going on. But when I look at these NBA players involved in this scandal, and I say to myself, here's an NBA player that's making $30 million a year. What does he care about $200,000 proceeds from gambling for? Selling information, giving information, where actionable information or a gambling crew run by organized crime could profit off of that information. To me, there's more to that. That's not money motivation. That's some type of blackmail, some type of extortionary tactic. They've got this guy in a compromised position, and they're acting on that opportunity, and they're having him give them information. And to me, that's what's going on here. If I had to guess, obviously I don't know for sure.
Right. And again, these are allegations, and this is probably going to go to trial. Of course, the NBA absolutely rejected the notion of approving any kind of thing like that. And I know that even when sports gambling was about to be approved, I know all the sports organizations were like, we want to distance ourselves a little bit here because We want to make sure that the game is absolutely clean. So the NBA has been very strong about that. And as you said, I mean, Terry Rozier, the guy has a base salary of over $20 or $25 million. He's 31 years old. So my question to you, when it comes to the people listening and watching our show, you're a young guy chasing success. How do you recognize the moment when the shortcut might cost you everything later?
Starting something on your own can feel very overwhelming, especially if you're not sure where to begin. You have the drive, the dream, but no roadmap. That's exactly why Univista franchise exists. It's not just a proven business. It's a system that already helps hundreds of people start successful insurance agencies across the country. With over 260 locations, Univista gives you a turnkey model. That means the brand, the training, the support, the technology, it's already built. So you just bring your ambition. You don't need to be an insurance expert. You don't even need prior experience. They'll guide you every step of the way, from launch to long-term growth. Many franchisees have even grown into having multiple offices, and the startup costs lower than you'd expect for something this solid. I've known Univista's president, Ivan Herrera, for years, and I've seen lives change through this model. So visit univistafranchise.com to explore if this could be your next move. Seriously, univistafranchise.com. This could be the opportunity you've been waiting for.
Well, and let's back this up 1 second. This was one of the problems when sports betting became legal. When sports betting became legal, it became the opportunity to bet large amounts legally all of a sudden became available, which enticed certain players to take action with their information, where in the past it was illegal. How do you bet 100,000, 200,000 on a game? You have to go see some shady person in the street. You have to have access to 200,000 in cash, which none of these players do. They all get paid, via bank wire and check. So their money is in actual bank accounts. Now, for them to wire that money to a friend and have that friend make bets in legal establishments, it opens up all kinds of Pandora's boxes. The league wants to distance themselves from the gambling at the same time that they're fully embracing the gambling, because they know that it's the gamblers that are watching. That's the viewership. There's very little viewership left in the NBA at all. We're 50% of what we were 10 and 20 years ago. But the ones that are left are dominated by the gamblers. So they have to protect the sanctity of the game so that it remains safe to gamble, so that viewers continue to gamble and hence continue to watch. As a young player, you're completely dumb and full of. So I completely understand why you're able to be, enticed into doing things that anyone like you and I, in their right mind, past the age of 30 or 40, would say to themselves, I'm not doing that. Why would I upset the apple cart? Why would I risk the golden goose? Because players, their whole lives, have been getting away with murder. Whether it's in high school, they're treated special. They get special rules in high school. They go to college and play AAU basketball, and they're allowed to miss school, and they get in trouble. They get traffic tickets. They get violations. They get DUIs. It gets swept under the rug. Why? Because we've seen it in the past. They're the star athlete, and the star athlete can do no wrong. And this continues to permeate and perpetrate their entire lives. And now they're at a point where they're making $20 and $30 million a year, surrounded by yes men and agents that are there to not just protect them, but protect themselves and their cash flow. And they get this feeling like they are just above the law and can do whatever they want. And no one is stupider, no one is more insane than Stephen A. Smith, who obviously, is no longer respected as a sports analyst. He tries to be a political analyst. All he really wants to do is hear himself talk. For him to get on and suggest that this is a vendetta by the current administration against NBA players, when it wasn't even the current administration that started, this investigation. It was the previous administration.
So give me some context. So this is somebody that said that is a well-known sport commentator that said that this had to do with political reasons.
Steve Smith, who's the face of ESPN, not just some political analyst, the face of ESPN, who over the last 5 years has probably realized that after saying the same thing over and over again, he's lost a lot of credibility in the sports world, and he's shifted a little bit to politics in his analysis on ESPN. comes out and for clickbait reasons, I don't know what the reasons are, says, oh, this administration has a vendetta against the NBA because the NBA has been known to go woke in the last 10 years. And obviously this administration is against all things woke. That's the point he's trying to make. So he's saying, oh, this is this administration just excising some type of vengeance against the NBA, which is ridiculous on its face. Listen, the investigation is ongoing and all of that. There's nobody innocent in this. The players, the bookmakers, the gamblers, the mob guys, none of them are innocent. They all did this. It's just they have to figure out who exactly did what. But what will never come out and what we will never probably hear is what really went down and how these players were able to be co-opted and brought into illegal gambling rings to do things that guys like me and you think to ourselves, why would you ever take that kind of risk? There's more to this story than meets the eye.
That's interesting. And again, we have to emphasize that these people are innocent until proven guilty. I mean, this is an ongoing investigation. Now, Stevo, let's wrap it up with the message for our audience. We have entrepreneurs. We have people that are starting to grow the corporate, go up in the corporate ladder. We have people that are young that really want to have success. What is the best way, in your opinion, with all of your experience, because you've been through a lot in your life, to accomplish everything you have, and you've had a lot of setbacks and issues with the government. How do you deal with temptation when something feels that it's too good to be true or might get you in trouble, but it's so tempting that you're about to say yes?
So a couple of things. Number one, never compromise your character. At the end of the day, they can take away your money. They can take away your opportunities. They can fight you. They can do all kinds of things. But if you hold strong with your character and never compromise your character, you will always be able to rebuild your brand if your character is intact. So never compromise your character. If you have two choices in life, in business, in anything, and there's a hard choice and an easy choice, regardless of the situation, the hard choice is always the right choice. It's never the easy way out. It's never the easy choice. When something looks easy, it's wrong. If something is hard, it's right. Never compromise your character. Always choose the hard road. And in the end, that one is God. May you find him now. There must be a spiritual side to everything you do, even in business, in relationships, especially in family life. There must be a spiritual side, or else nothing works.
Stevo Budin, thank you so much. This guy, if you have not heard his story, you have to check out the interview that we did in person in Miami when he came to our Made by Challenge podcast. Stevo Budin is the father of online sports betting, and it's an honor to have had you on the show and hear your story. And it's an honor to have you today to comment about this news. Thanks so much, Stevo. I appreciate you being here again on the show.
Pleasure. Can't wait to come back.